Ophiuchus has sometimes been used in sidereal astrology as a 13th sign in addition to the 12 signs of the tropical zodiac, because the eponymous constellation Ophiuchus is defined by the 1930 IAU constellation boundaries is situated behind the Sun between November 29 and December 17. The idea appears to have originated in 1970 with Stephen Schmidt's suggestion of a 14-sign zodiac. A 13-sign zodiac has been suggested by Walter Berg and by Mark Yazaki in 1995, a suggestion that achieved some popularity in Japan, where Ophiuchus is known as Hebitsukai-Za. Mainstream sidereal astrology, notably Hindu astrology, and tropical astrology, use the traditional 12-sign zodiac based on dividing the ecliptic into 12 equal parts rather than the IAU constellation boundaries, and do not regard Ophiuchus as a sign. There is considerable confusion between the notion of a sign, which is an equal division of the sky into 12 in both the Vedic and the Western systems of astrology, and a constellation, which is a grouping of stars that touches the ecliptic. While Vedic uses a sidereal system based on the stars, that sidereal horoscope is divided evenly into 12 signs which are symbolic of the varying sized constellations they make contact with. History: Ophiuchus and some of the fixed stars in it were sometimes used by some astrologers in antiquity as extra zodiacal indicators. The constellation is described in the astrological poem of Manilius, the Astronomica, which is dated to around 10 AD. The poem describes how Ophiuchus holds apart the serpent which with its mighty spirals and twisted body encircles his own, so that he may untie its knots and back that winds in loops. But, bending its supple neck, the serpent looks back and returns, and the other's hands slide over the loosened coils. The struggle will last forever, since they wage it on level terms with equal powers. Later in his poem, Manilius describes the astrological influence of Ophiuchus, when the constellation is in its rising phase, as one which offers affinity with snakes and protection from poisons, saying he renders the forms of snakes innocuous to those born under him. They will receive snakes into the folds of their flowing robes, and will exchange kisses with these poisonous monsters and suffer no harm. A later 4th century astrologer, known as Anonymous of 379, associated the bright star of Ophiuchus, Zodiac, with doctors, healers or physicians, which may have been because of the association between poisons and medicines. Based on the 1930 IAU constellation boundaries, suggestions that there are really 13 astrological signs, because the Sun is in the sign of Ophiuchus between November 29 and December 17 have been published since at least the 1970s. In 1970, Stephen Schmidt in his Astrology 14 advocated a 14-sign zodiac, introducing Ophiuchus and Cetus as new signs. Within 20th century sidereal astrology, the idea was taken up by Walter Berg in his The 13 Signs of the Zodiac. Berg's The 13 Signs of the Zodiac was published in Japan in 1996 and became a bestseller, and Berg's system has since been comparatively widespread in Japanese pop culture, appearing for example in the Final Fantasy video game series and the manga and anime series Fairy Tail. In January 2011, a statement by Park Kunkel of the Minnesota Planetarium Society repeating the idea of the 13th zodiac sign Ophiuchus made some headlines in the popular press. However, Kunkel is an astronomer, not an astrologer, and does not believe in astrology, instead pointing out problems with astrology systems, which ignored the constellation. Symbol: Schmidt introduced his own symbol for his Ophiuchus sign in 1974. It was a stylized representation of a man carrying a snake. In 1995 Berg also proposed a symbol for Ophiuchus, and it has come into comparatively widespread use in Japan. In 2009, it was suggested for inclusion in the Unicode standard as part of an emoji extension. The symbol looks like a letter U with a superimposed tilde. It has been added to the Unicode Miscellaneous Symbols Codepage as of version 6.0. In his 2011 book, Kanatas Vasily suggested the Greek letter phi as the symbol for the sign of Ophiuchus, from the Greek word for Ophiuchus, II unregistered trademark II picowatt ye pound. References: Stephen Schmidt, Astrology 14, Your New Sun Sign, Bobbs Merrill, Indianapolis. Pyramid Books 1971. Stephen Schmidt, The Astrology 14 Horoscope, How to Cast and Interpret It, Bobbs Merrill, ISBN 978-0-672-51647-4. Walter Berg, The 13 Signs of the Zodiac, Discover Who You Really Are with the New Sun Signs, Thorsons, ISBN 978-0-7225-3254-6. Mark Yazaki, A Florin 1 quarter AC telephone, 13 ER Pascal Euro area A Permel A cubed A radian per square second Oish A. 21st Century Books, ISBN 978-4-391-11845-2. External links, Solar Zodiac Astrology Ophiuchus, The 13th Sign by Shepard Simpson. Ophiuchus cannot be a sign in the tropical or sidereal zodiacs by Robert Hand. 1.